what's going on, everybody? I hope you are doing well. Happy Tuesday. I hope your Tuesday is going well. Scream 7 is around the corner. It's coming out next month. Towards the end of next month, scream. I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. And I thought, you know what, why not do a little franchise check? Now, when I say franchise, I mean just the movies. I haven't seen the television show. I couldn't care less. And so this isn't, so it's the movies. So I say franchise ranking, I'm talking about the movies, Scream 1 through 6. And where I place them, where I place them. And then you let me know if you agree or disagree, or where would you place them? How do you feel about the Scream franchise? I'm not the world's biggest Scream fan. I remember when it came out, I was 17 years old, 17 and a half years old, I guess, because it came out in December. And so, I remember it, and it was a big deal way back in the day. 1996, and I like Scream, but it is what it is. Like a lot of these slasher franchises, they are what they are now. But let's jump over to the other screen, and this isn't going to take long because there's only 6 movies. So we might be done and out of here in about 15 minutes. I don't know. It's probably not going to take that long. But let's go over to the other screen, and there they are. There are the Scream movies, and we'll go in order. I won't go in order of the list at the bottom there. I will go in order of which the order of the movies of when they were released, I think would be a good way to go about it. And then you guys can let me know if you feel the same way. I didn't get fancy with the tiers. I just put best, pretty good, okay, meh, dog shit. That's what I decided to do. It's funny because, as I've said many times, the Scream franchise is one of those franchises where it doesn't really have a bad movie yet. Will Scream 7 be that movie? Maybe, maybe not. I know if you are dialed in, if you are locked in, if you are a Scream hardcore fan, then, you might place some of these films into the dog shit category there. You might do it. And especially because we live in a very hyperbolic world when it comes to online fandom. Things are either the best or they're dog shit. There's no nuance whatsoever. But I really don't feel that way. But let's go through it, and you guys let me know if you feel the same way. Josh McKenna sends in $1.99. Thank you, Josh. His hot take: 5 is my favorite after the first. Very cool. Is that a hot take? I don't know. Maybe it's a hot take. I have no idea if it is or not. Brandon Collins there says 152-463. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Chester Franklin Jr. says 1, 2, 3, 6, 4, 5. I still need to watch 5. You haven't seen 5 at all? Chester, you got to get on that. You got to get on that, Chester. Holy snap and crap. But, so when it comes to the first Scream, by the way, this is my favorite poster. I'll put my cursor on the poster. That is my favorite poster right there out of all the Scream films. The original Scream theatrical poster, I believe that's, unless that's just the VHS box, or I don't know if it's the theatrical poster, but that one right there with just the woman's face on it, and she's just going, I guess it's the best. It's great. It's eerie, it's creepy, it's old school, retro. Even at that time, it was kind of old school, retro. I'm not a fan of the floating heads thing that Scream just absolutely loves to do. But nonetheless, the first Scream was released in December of 1996, directed by Wes Craven. And this was the movie that revitalized the slasher subgenre in the late 90s. The slasher subgenre was dead largely between the late 80s. Basically, look, the golden age of slashers is about 78 through to 85, and I'm pushing it. I like to push it to 85 because I like to include Elm Street in there, and you got to go to 84 to do that. But it depends on what we're measuring. If we're talking about the abundance of low budget bullshit, absolute just the abundance, the volume of low budget slasher movies, and that really was probably like 80 to 83, 84, thanks to Halloween, people thought they could recreate the success of Halloween, and everybody was, everything from it was crazy. But I like to kind of go from either end of the spectrum. So 78 through to 85, I think, is sort of your golden era. 85 being the very end of it, 78 being the very beginning of it. Although Halloween, even though it was released in 78, Halloween didn't really take off till 1979. It wasn't until the Village Voice article in what was it, March, April of 79, I think. Something like that. It wasn't, Halloween was not a gigantic success right out of the box. But nonetheless, 78 through 84, 85 is sort of your golden era. And then from that point, we start our trajectory downwards. Now, it's not like when we hit 86, we're at the bottom. No, but we make that turn, right? Like you're at the end, and now you make that turn and you're coming back. So by the time you do get to 1990, it's over, it's done. You've got Jason Goes to Hell in 93 and Freddy's Dead in 91, and it's absolute ass. It's absolute ass. But Scream in 1996 revitalized the slasher subgenre of the late 90s for a bit of that last sort of wind. You know what I mean? We haven't really seen that since. Obviously, horror has changed. The film industry has changed. The slasher subgenre is a bit of a different thing now than it was 30 years ago. It's still there, but very rarely do we, I shouldn't say very rarely, but certainly not like back in the 80s where it was just a foregone conclusion that these slasher movies would get theatrical releases. Nowadays, not necessarily. And so, but nonetheless, it revitalized it, of course. Along came I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and Halloween H2O, and Urban Legend, and Scream 2, and Scream, and there was it had a bit of a resurgence there. I like the first Scream movie. I do. I think it is like how I feel about this. The first Scream movie is very similar to how I feel about the first season of Stranger Things. And that is the sense of that I think the first Scream movie is the perfect example of what Scream was supposed to be. You know what I mean? It is the perfect, and then everything after that is sort of diminishing returns. Now, I will say that unlike Stranger Things, the Scream films have gotten progressively bigger and larger in scale, but not nearly as much as Stranger Things. Stranger Things, that first season's my favorite because I think it's the perfect example of what it was supposed to be. It's that small town mystery. And then by the time you get to season 4 and 5, it's Marvel blockbuster. And it's like, what the hell? I'm not to say that I don't like each season. I like each season on their own merits, but in terms of and I feel that way about Scream. The first Scream film, I think, is the best, and that's why I'm going to put it in the best, because I think you could just leave it there and not make another Scream film at all, and I wouldn't feel like I've missed out on anything. I think it's the best. Now, when it comes to Scream 2, everybody seems to love Scream 2. They love Scream 2. I like Scream 2. I don't like it as much as Scream, but I like Scream 2. But I wouldn't put it beside Scream. I would put Scream 2. Where are you here? Scream 2. I think I've got 2 Scream. Oh no, that's 2 there. That's 2 there. I'd put Scream 2 in pretty good. Pretty good. I thought it was good. It was good. It was a good sequel. Sarah Michelle Gellar was in there, just coming off of Buffy and all that kind of stuff. So, it's I get it. It was good. It was fine. I enjoyed it. But I still think the first one's the best. And then this, again, I'm not the world's, big, like in terms of, I'm not a diehard Scream fan. So a lot of diehard Scream fans, I think Barry, Wolfman's Got Nards, shout out to Barry. I think he's a diehard Scream fan, if I'm not mistaken. So he might he would likely rank this very differently. And your ranking would likely be very different from mine. So I'm more of a casual Scream fan. So keep that in mind, that this is I'm coming at this ranking from the perspective of a casual Scream fan. Okay. So really, from here on out, hang on. I would say Scream 3 is... Hang on a sec. I gotta sit here and I gotta think for a moment, because it's been a little bit since I've seen these movies, because I don't watch them on, a daily basis or even a yearly basis or even half a decade basis. I would say Scream 3 is meh. It's meh. It's not dog shit. I don't think spoiler alert, none of these are dog shit, by the way. So there isn't going to be a Scream movie that's going to wind up in dog shit. Not in my mind. Not Scream 5, not even Scream 6. We'll see where Scream 7 lands. Maybe I'll have to do another one of these. But I don't. They're diminishing returns, but I don't think Scream has had a Halloween Resurrection. I don't think they've had a Freddy's Dead. I don't think they've had a Jason Goes to Hell. They haven't jumped the shark. They might have gone swimming with a couple of sharks, but we've yet to see Neve Campbell or Jenna Ortega put on those water skis like Fonzie and Happy Days and right over the shark. We've yet to see it. That's where the term comes from, by the way, for those of you that may not know or are too young. And so we've yet to have that. I think Scream 4 is pretty good. It's pretty good. That's how I'd rank them. 1's the best. I think 2 and 4 are pretty good. I think 3 is meh. Especially at that point, right? Scream 5. Now, when Scream 5 came out, everybody was excited about it. People didn't know what to expect, because the new guard was about to take over. Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera, Sam and Tara. And what was this going to be like? We knew that Dewey was back. We knew that Gale Weathers was back. We knew that Sidney Prescott was back, but more in a limited role. And what was it going to be like? What was going to happen? I don't know. People were unsure, but people loved it. It made over $100 million at the box office. People, generally speaking, really enjoyed it. It was the Force Awakens of the Scream franchise. It didn't do anything new, but it didn't do anything awful. And some people felt like they played it too safe. And I've said this many times. I've said, like the Force Awakens, and I don't think that I love the Force Awakens. I think it's great. But I understand why J.J. Abrams and company did the Force Awakens the way they did. And I think it's the same reason why Radio Silence and Paramount decided to move in this direction with Scream 5, which is deliver something familiar, deliver something, it's not that it takes no risks, but deliver something familiar with some new characters you can glom onto, deliver a relatively safe Scream movie. Why? Because Wes Craven is dead. And Wes Craven had directed all 4 previous movies. It had also been 11 years. One was 2011 was Scream 4, right? I believe. And then Scream 5 was 2022. So it had been well over a decade. That's enough time for the culture to change as well. So what you're going to be poking fun at and meta and all that kind of stuff is, what's going to happen, and so they played it a little safe. But I didn't mind that, because they didn't rock the boat. They didn't deliver something just awful and ridiculous. And what the hell is this? I think it was a smart thing to do. And so when the movie came out, there were 2 things I took from it. Melissa Barrera, I thought, was fantastic. Jenna Ortega is going to be a star. I said that, and I'm not trying to, maybe you thought that too. I had never heard of her. Okay. I had no idea who Jenna Ortega was prior to Scream 5. No idea. Never heard of her, never laid eyes on her in my life. And when Tony and I from Two Dudes when we watched Scream 5, we did a watch along of Scream 5 on an episode of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, a first time watch. I'd never seen it. Neither had he. And when Jenna Ortega was on screen, and of course she, gets killed, quote unquote, not really. And then she's in the hospital and all that. I remember saying, I don't know who this girl is, but she's got great on-screen charisma. And there's a presence to her in her eyes and her performance. There's an it factor there. There's an it factor there. And I said, I don't know who she is, but I think she's going to be a star. I really do. And I said that. I had no idea who she was. And this was before Wednesday. This was before Beetlejuice. This was before X. This was before, she had done things before, of course, as a kid on teen shows and, romantic comedies. But I'd never heard of her. And of course, now she's one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. So those are the two things I take away from it, that it was my introduction to Jenna Ortega, and I thought they delivered a solid Scream film that I thought was okay. Yeah, I thought it was all right. I thought it was all right. So I'm going to put in okay. Actually, yeah, I'm going to put it in pretty good. That was pretty good. For a Scream movie, I thought, it was pretty good. Again, I'm a casual Scream fan. So you hardcore Scream fans be like, no, fucking if I was rating this shit, man, I'm fucking put it down in dog shit. Fucking dog shit! It's dog shit! I mean, that's totally fair. But I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. That's fine. Now, when it comes to Scream 6, Radio Silence decided to do a little bit more. Right? They decided to kind of take a little more risks now that they've gotten their Force Awakens out of the way and prove to everybody that, hey, we can make a Scream movie, right? You know what I mean? We can make a Scream film. They decided to, hey, why don't we set it in New York, but shoot it in Montreal? Get the tax benefits for coming up to good old Canada. And sure, why not? And so they did. And Scream 6 was okay. It was okay. I don't think it was meh, but I thought Scream 6 was okay. So I'm going to put Scream 6 into okay. I thought it was okay. I didn't like it as much as Scream 5, but I thought it was okay. Now, mind you, I've only seen both of these movies once. And so I would have to watch Scream 5 and 6 again, and maybe 5 would drop down to okay, 6 would move up to pretty good. Maybe they'd both move down to dog shit. I have no idea. But I'm going based purely on what I remember, the feeling of watching both. I didn't see either of them in the movie theater. I watched them after the fact when they hit streaming. And so yeah, that's how I would rank these movies today. From what I remember, the first one is the best. I think 2, 4, and 5 are pretty good. Like I enjoyed them. I thought 6 was okay. It was okay. It's a hair above meh. It's not quite meh. It's okay. It's okay. And 3 I just thought was underwhelming. I think in comparison to 1 and 2, 3 is a significant drop, right? And that's how we're sort of comparing it. I mean, if you compare 3 with 6, I mean, you might be able to put them both on but I'm judging it based on where we've come from, right? So I thought 3 was just kind of meh. I didn't kind of feel that, I don't know, felt a little tired for me at that point. But that's how I would rank them. I'm very interested to know how you would rank them. So leave your comment in the comment section below. And it's going to be very interesting to see where Scream 7 fits on this list. What do you guys think? You think it's going to be best, pretty good, okay, meh, dog shit? I don't know. They've yet to have, like I said, a really, really bad installment. And I mean really bad. Like, look, I mean, if you're a hardcore fan and you think 5 and 6 are dog shit, like they are the Halloween resurrections, the Freddy's dead of the Scream franchise, that's fair enough. It's fine. Fair enough. But for me, and I am a casual fan, I don't feel that, I mean, maybe it's because the stakes are not that high for me. Like if Scream 7 sucks, like it really does suck, I'll walk away from it just going, yeah, whatever. That's a shame. It's like Jerry Seinfeld. That's a shame. You know, like I just, it's all right. You know, I mean, I hope it does well because horror movies that do well at the box office it's a rising tide for, you know, for all ships. I always want horror movies to do well, and Scream movies do well. And this movie's going to do well because it's got Neve Campbell coming back in probably a more prominent role than she played in 5. She wasn't even in 6. And you know, I will say too, like, I mean, I am a fan of Jenna Ortega. I am a fan of Melissa Barrera, and I do like their dynamic. And maybe it's because I'm a casual fan, so take it with a grain of salt, but I didn't really feel like I didn't feel the Sidney Prescott's absence. I mean, I knew she wasn't in it, so like I felt it in the sense of, oh, she's not in this movie, but it didn't really bother me. And I think it's because not only I think it's because the actors are strong, they were committed to their characters, and I was bought in. I bought into this new group of kids. And so it didn't really bother me. So it's going to be interesting to see how 7 plays out and whether or not we've got Fonzie jumping sharks. I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. I have no idea. Motionless Zombie sends in $5, says, hey, Dave, would you like to see Scream reboot as a meta on supernatural horror in 5+ years? No, I think just don't make it Scream. I think Scream is too, remake it, like remake it with, you just recast Sidney, Dewey, and like that kind of thing. You mean no, just make another Scream movie. You know what I mean? Or make another meta horror film that isn't Scream. It's not like Scream owns meta horror. I mean, that's what a lot of horror fans tend to think of, right? Because it's very big and very popular. But I mean, it's not like you can't make another meta horror film, right? You would have to write it smartly. And whoever your antagonist is, you know, you got to be careful that your film isn't just a Scream movie, right? But there's many different ways that you can do it. There's smart writers out there that can do it. So I would just do that. I wouldn't necessarily remake Scream. I don't think, I mean, you're getting really new, you know, Scream 5 and 6 were basically remakes almost. You know what I mean? So there's too many new, and it's all within the same timeline, right? You know what I mean? And so, just keep going until it burns out. That's what the studios love to do. They love franchises. I would just keep going until it burns out. So, well, that was fun, Dave. See you next month. See you next month, Daz, 1428. Yeah, no, it's not a big franchise, right? There's not a lot really to talk about. I love the over-the-top and campy Scooby-Doo vibe of Scream 3, says Teal Kit. Okay, cool. Brandon says, I've been saying since they announced Lillard that this film will be the Cult of Stu idea that got scrapped ahead of Scream 3. The killers will be using AI to make it look like the dead are alive. That would be fascinating. That would be really fascinating. You know, because it's interesting. Like I've said many times, you know, one of the things that, everybody's getting really excited for Stu's return. And because I don't have I couldn't care less whether he came back or not. And I couldn't care less how they implement him. I mean, I will be able to, obviously as a film fan, as a filmmaker, I will be honest with if I think it worked or not, or if I like it or not, sure. But at the end of the day, like, it doesn't really bother me what they do. But I know there's a lot of Scream fans out there, man, and we've talked about this, that are riding on Stu's return. And what they're really riding on is his return in the flesh. Like, he didn't actually die in the original Scream. And so I can't help but think, and maybe you Scream heads, ghost heads in the chat or watching after the fact can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know, man. Like, I have a feeling that a lot of Scream fans are going to, like, anything less than him being back in the flesh and having not actually died in the original Scream would be unacceptable. I mean, am I wrong in that? I mean, that's sort of how I feel about it. You know, like, I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think he is back? Let me do a poll. I'm going to do a poll. See what you guys think. Is it STU or STW? How does he short form it? Because there's a couple ways you can do it. Is it just STW? Hang on a sec here. Okay, 1 second. Bear with me. Oh, damn it. Hang on. Too many, okay. There's your poll. Let's see what the Scream fans think. I said, do you think Stu... Oh, it's STU, is it? Okay. That's what I thought, and I went STW. Well, you know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. Do you think Stu, as in Stu? I've seen it both ways. I just chose the more peckish version. Is back in the flesh as in alive, and he didn't die in Scream 1996? We've got, yes, he's alive. 27. Ooh, we got people, 11 votes. Yes, he's alive. No, he's dead, and he's AI. No, he's dead, returns in flashback. No, he's dead, returns in dream. You let me know. You let me know. You let me know, and we'll see what everybody says. Dylan says, remember we saw Stu's nephew in 5? I don't remember. It's definitely going to be Stu's remaining family as the killer's using AI. Fascinating. You know what? And here's the thing, like, I'm all for that. I don't know if that's what they're going to do. I think Brandon is right that maybe they do something like that. And I'm all for that. Like, if it's done well, if it's really well executed, it could be really creepy and really well done. It's almost like he's speaking from the grave. It's weird. There's an uncanny valley to it. But I know there's going to be a lot, unless it's so well done. It's so well done that even the fans that want him back in the flesh are like, oh, this is fucking amazing. It's got to be not just pretty good. Really, it's got to be brilliant. It's got to be brilliant. Because I can't help but think that there are going to be some people, maybe a lot of fans, that are going to be really disappointed if he's not back in the flesh and he takes off the mask and, hey, what's going on, Sid? And it's actually Matthew Lillard. He's there. He's got scars on his face from the television, and he's there. He's really there. He's not AI. He's really there. I faked my death. You didn't know about it for 30 years, but, and it's like, I don't know. I mean, this is the 30th anniversary this year. The 30th anniversary. I mean, it's not quite because, movies being released in February, December, but you know what I mean. In terms of the year, it is. It is. Next Gen says he's definitely not back, and a lot of people are going to be disappointed. I agree. I don't know for sure, but I agree that if that is the case, people are going to be disappointed. They don't have the balls to attempt something like that. Well, I don't know if it's balls. I think it's more like, yeah, he's dead. Like, I think it might be more just narratively, it makes more sense. Like, why are we bringing him back? Like, let's just leave him dead. It's more because for me, in my mind, unless the reason that he's back, because there's a couple things you've got to nail for me to be like, wow. And for the end of Scream, the original, not to make me go, yeah, is why he didn't die has to be brilliant. Where he's been for 30 years has to be brilliant. Why nobody knew about it for 30 years has to be brilliant. You know what I'm saying? Like everything's got to be firing on all cylinders for me to not look at the ending of Scream and feel like it's not as cool now because we know that he's kind of alive in Scream 7 and Scream 7 was ass. You know what I mean? Like you don't want that. You don't want to retroactively dog shit your ending of one of the greatest, most successful slasher movies in history. You don't want to do that. You know what I mean? And so I think it might just be more, let's tap into, as Brandon says, let's tap into what is hot today, what's current today, what people are afraid of today. Let's tap into the psychology of how people are kind of worried about AI and artificial intelligence. Blah, blah, blah. Ooh, maybe we do. And then it doesn't really, like for me in my mind, if he's AI, depending on how they do it, I still watch part 1 and it ends and it feels great and it still feels good. But if how he survived and where he's been for 30 years is dog shit, if at any point one of those things or all of those things makes you as a Scream fan go, oh, come on, seriously? Oh, I guess, okay. That's not good. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying, why take that risk? So I don't know. I really have no idea. So we'll see. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Brandon says, this franchise ends with the last film brings all the actors back playing themselves and being hunted by Scream fans at a horror convention. Then they rebooted. That would be kind of cool. Well, here's the thing too, and I say this, is that, and you guys know, and I mean, I've always wanted there to be a cliffhanger ending in the Scream franchise. And that's something going back years. I wanted Scream 5 to end on a cliffhanger. It didn't. I wanted 6 to end on a cliffhanger. It didn't. And the fact of the matter is this. Here's the thing. Is that obviously I understand why you don't do it, right? Because I've said many times that the Scream franchise is a whodunit. So at the end of every movie, the formula is you got to find out who did it. And the bad guys spend 5 minutes telling you why they're so evil and all that kind of shit. That's part of the formula. That's what you expect. Whodunits don't really end on cliffhangers unless you design a story that is supposed to be told over a couple of films. You don't let the audience know that. You don't let the people know that in the marketing. But it would be great to try something a little different. That's not too much of a risk, really. I don't think this is something that's really edgy, but it would inject some new life into a Scream, into a film by ending on a cliffhanger. So just when you think you're about to know who Ghostface is, you don't. And he's about, or maybe he's about to reveal himself, but you cut to black and you roll credits. And so instead of that, because every Scream movie is its own story, like no Scream film continues with that killer over several, do you know what I mean? Like they're their own contained things. Well, what if you do a Scream movie that instead of having one movie to tell that, story, you take 2 movies to tell? That would be interesting. But here's the thing that I ask Scream fans that I find interesting. If you were to ask me, what would be the epitome, the summit of Scream? Like, what could you do? Like, what could be your Super Bowl of Scream? And that is, I guess you bring back Stu. Well, here's the thing is that if Scream 7, if Stu is really back, let's say Stu is really back, not AI. Let's say, but although you could make an argument that even if he's AI, you still run into this problem. But let's say he's back. He's really back. Well, we know every Scream movie ends with the killer being killed, right? As far as I know. Every movie is its own thing. Well, so is Stu going to die at the end of 7? And if Stu dies at the end of 7, where does the franchise go from there? That kind of feels like your Super Bowl of Scream movies. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of feels like the Scream movie to end all Scream movies. Like where do you go from there? I mean, everything outside of Stu returning, faking his death, or I don't know, maybe not faking it, but surviving, living incognito for 30 years, coming back, for revenge. That is on paper, that's a compelling. Whoa, hey, whoa, whoa, yeah. But that's kind of like you want to save that for the Scream, the final chapter. I mean, something that you're just going to end on, right? Because where do you go from there? I mean, are you ever going to reach the heights? If Stu is really back in the flesh, are you ever going to reach the heights of Stu ever? I mean, really? I mean, unless you bring back, Billy? But I mean, he's in the mind of, so they've kind of done that. I mean, what else are you going to start bringing back? But we know in this movie, here's the thing too. We know in this movie that Stu's coming back. We know that Billy's, he's in there. We know that Roman is in there. We know that Dewey is in there. So it kind of makes you wonder, to Brandon's point, is this AI? Is some of it AI? Some of it flashback? Some of it dream sequence? I mean, Roman can't be back in the flesh. He got a bullet to the head. We know that Billy is not back in the flesh, but it was a very inventive, a cool way to bring him back as the psychological sort of, subconscious of his daughter, right? You know what I mean? And all the things that she's going through. Is she going to walk the path of her father? Is she going to not? That's why I feel that you don't really need to revisit Tara and Sam ever again, really, if you don't want to, because their story really is complete. I know a lot of Scream fans hate that. They want more. And I know you could write more. Yes, you could. But like I said, at the end of Scream 6, what does she do? She drops her father's mask on the ground and they walk off. And that's it. That was the choice. That is your ending. She could hold on to the mask or she could leave it. And by leaving it behind, that's the cinematic language. That's what tells you she has chosen the path to not walk the path that her father did. And so you could never see those characters again and nothing is unresolved. I mean, there really isn't. I mean, you could, but what about her mom? And what about, yeah. But in terms of her arc and her story, there really isn't. I mean, that's it, because that's what she was struggling with. That's her. Is she? Will she? Won't she? Is she? You know what I'm saying? And she chooses not to. And so you may not have to revisit those characters ever again. But maybe that's what they do. I mean, maybe in Scream 8, you let bygones be bygones and you hug and kiss and make up with Barrera and Ortega and you bring them back for Scream 8 and you go off at another. I mean, maybe. But outside of that, like, to me, if Stu is back in the flesh, if he's actually back, he didn't die, that feels like your ace in the hole. That feels like your Super Bowl card. Right? I mean, that kind of feels like, wow, all the chips in, a royal flush, whatever. I mean, that kind of like, where do you go from there? Like, where does the Scream franchise go from there? It's kind of like you're peaking. I think you're peaking here. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. The Flat from Another World says, "Hey Dave, hope you're doing well and letting you know my It's Me Billy Chapter 2 Blu-ray has arrived in the mail today." Amazing. Thank you for letting me know, Flat. Thank you for letting me know. Yes, the It's Me Billy Chapter 2 Blu-rays have started going out. We're not sending them all in one shot. I mean, we have over 750 Blu-rays to send, so obviously they're not going all out in one shot, but the process has finally started, which is great. It took a little longer than we wanted to. It took much longer to get them authored than we wanted to. We didn't get them till just like about a month or so ago. And obviously we weren't sending over the holidays, so we've started the process now to be sending them out. So that's great that you got it, Flat. Awesome. And by the way, if you've ordered more, like I know some of you ordered some of the double blues, and then you might have ordered like Chapter 2 on its own. If you receive Chapter 2 on its own, but you're like, well, wait a minute, I ordered like a few more of these. Don't worry, they're coming. We're just sending them out in installments. Do you know what I mean? So that order you place for Chapter 2, like the single, whatever, that's come in. But if you ordered 4 more, don't worry, they're coming too. So I just want to, let people know that as well. So, yeah. Glad it came today, Flet. Glad it came today. Jay Splinter says, I mean, he wasn't really even duped. He did it for fun. Dude was a psychopath, wanted a friend. His excuse aside, the real reason being his mom left and Sydney's mom caused... Oh, okay. I think you're talking to somebody else. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Alex Schembach says, you don't go anywhere from there. That have to be it for the last decade. Well, that's kind of my point, right? Like, where do you go? Where do you go? I don't know. Like, unless they do what I've been pulling for years, which is a cliffhanger. You make Scream 7 a cliffhanger ending. You hope that it's a great film, and you make it a cliffhanger ending. So therefore, there's an excuse to do a Scream 8, but you just, you drag the story over 2 films. Drag sounds like a bad, but you tell the story. You tell the story over 2 films. And I think that, I think you could do that. You totally could do that. I don't know if that's what they're going to do though. I see no evidence of it. And why would we? Because, traditionally, if you're following the formula, whodunits, you find out who did it at the end of every movie. Like every Scream movie that's ever been made, it could be its own thing. Like you could make Scream 1, you could watch it and never watch the others, and it's a complete story. You can watch Scream 1 and Scream 2, and never go to Scream 3, and it's a complete story, as far as I know. You could watch Scream 1, 2, and 3, end at 3, complete story. You can watch Scream 1, 2, 3, and 4, never go to 5 or 6, complete story. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, never go to 6, complete story. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, don't even bother with 7, it's a complete story. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I don't see why they wouldn't continue to do that. But I don't know. Let's check out the poll and see what you are all saying. 42 of you have voted. Do you think Stu, it's supposed to be STU, do you think Stu is back in the flesh, as in alive, and didn't die in Scream 1996? Yes, 40% of you. 40% of you believe, yes, he's alive. 33% of you say, no, he's dead and he's AI. 24% of you say, no, he's dead and returns in a flashback. Might have to do some de-aging there. 2% of you say, no, he's dead and returns in a dream. 40% of you. Well, man, I wonder how many of that 40% wants him to be back in the flesh. And what are you going to do if he's not? Because here's the thing. They could deliver a really great film that leans into the technology and the sort of the worry and hysteria around AI. They could do that. And, and objectively, it could be a really great film, and how it's done and laid out and presented and executed. By the end of the movie, I mean, you might walk away, like really, you might think, wow, that actually was really good. That was really well done. Like how they did Billy, right? Billy's dead. We know that. He got shot in the head. But how they did it as the manifestation of Sam's subconscious and sort of what she's dealing with. I mean, he's not actually talking to her, right? You know what I mean? He's not a force ghost. Obviously, that's how they present it. That's the cinematic language, right? That's the imagery. That's how they need to present it. So he's back, but he's not actually back. That's her, right? Because she's her father's daughter. And so she does deal with some of the same, is it nature versus nurture, right? Has she inherited some of these psychopath, sociopath tendencies? Like, did she inherit this from her father? What road is she going to go down here? And she doesn't want to do that, but she's sort of, you know what I mean? And of course, at the end of 6, we know that she makes the choice. She has agency. She has autonomy. She makes the choice. No, it's great. But it was a very creative and cool way to have Billy back without him being back. Well, did fans really, I don't know, did Scream fans like that? Maybe not. Maybe they didn't care as much because it was so obvious that he was dead. So how else are you going to bring him back? right? And maybe between Stu and Billy, Stu is more of the fan favorite. Between Skeet and Matthew Lillard is more of the fan favorite maybe because Matthew tends to be a little more outgoing with fans, a little more jovial, a little more charismatic, a little more, people tend to, I think, gravitate towards Matthew Lillard's energy a bit more, just as a person, as a human being. Skeet is a little more kind of calm, cool, collected. What's up? You know what I mean? Whereas Matthew's a little more like me, right? Like, hey, what's going on? Hey, what's happening? You know what I mean? And of course, that energy and that vibe can draw you in, right? And so maybe that's why, maybe it's a combination of a couple things. Maybe, I don't know, maybe people didn't really care. And of course, he's dead, so how else are you going to bring him back? With Stu, there's that opening, there's that question mark. I do believe that the intention was that he was dead. Now, I know that they were thinking about bringing him back for Scream 3 and all that kind of stuff, but at the end of Scream, I believe, no, the TV falls on him. I think that was the intention there, that he's dead. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to me to see how many Scream fans, because it could be they could totally do it like they did with Billy, and that he's not actually there. He's just there through AI, through technology, but it's really well done. It's really well done. It's properly motivated. It doesn't feel cheap or shoehorned in. It's like, wow, this is a really great social commentary on AI and artificial intelligence, and it's really well done. And you got, wow, this is really well done. I still can't help but feel that because there are so many Scream fans going in with those expectations of wanting to see Stu alive, that even if it's brilliant and really well done, that's going to hinder it. And there's going to be a lot of fans who are going to be disappointed. And then once that wears off, once you kind of, it wears off and you get over the anger that you have and you watch Scream 7 again, maybe you go back to the theater again to watch it and you walk away and you go, it's not that bad. The second time I actually liked it a bit more. Yeah, that's because, your expectations are out the window now and you know what to expect. So you can watch it for what it is rather than what you want it to be. And that's another thing that I got to say to critics out there. I see so many movie critics, not the good ones, but I mean so many that will review a movie on what they want it to be rather than what it is. And those are two completely different things. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, I don't mean to go off on these tangents, but I genuinely, even as a casual Scream fan, from a sociological and psychological perspective, from just the relationship that we as film fans have with the films that we like, and the relationship that the Scream franchise has with their fans, their hardcore fans, I find it interesting. I genuinely find it interesting and fascinating. What is it going to be? What's going to happen? I don't know. I have no idea. Daz says, if Stu is actually alive, I'm betting he turns out to be a good guy now and probably even dies saving Sydney. How can you be a good guy, though? I mean, he's murdered their friends. Sorry, you're out. I mean, you murdered. I don't know how, I don't know how you would spin that. I don't know, but maybe, you never know. Shakir Henderson says Scream 4 is one of my favorites. Ghostface was the most brutal and pissed off in that specific movie of the franchise. Scream 4. I got to watch Scream 4 again. Josh McKenna sends in $9.99. Thank you, Josh. Says, imagine TikTok's reaction if these things happened. Sydney is the opening kill. Stu is only in it for literally 5 seconds. Gail dies and Ghostface gets away, never making another movie. He just wins. That would be amazing, Josh, because it would piss everybody off. Listen, I'm not against Sydney dying. Now, I don't think that they're ever going to do it. I don't think they ever will. Unless it's some really heroic, it would have to be heroic and mythic, right? And, but I'm not against that. Again, that injects new life into it. What do you do? What about this, Scream fans? What about this? Because I think there is a general consensus. That that Scream, and I say general consensus, not everybody, but actually there are a lot of Scream fans that really like the Sam and Tara, those characters. They really like them and are very upset that they're not in this next movie, right? Well, what if there is a Scream 8? And in Scream 8, they bring back Sam and Tara. Ooh. They bring back Sydney. You don't know what the story is going to be yet. You know, you're not quite sure what's going on, what's happening. But they bring back those characters. In that movie, Sidney Prescott is the opening kill. Let's say Gail dies in this movie. Okay, I don't know. She's got to die at some point. Let's say she dies in Scream 7. Okay, so we're only left now with Sydney. Okay, so we only have to worry about her in terms of the writing. What would you do if Sydney is the opening kill? It's like 5 years later after Scream 7. Sam and Tara have graduated university. Maybe they're in relationships now. Maybe not quite kids, but, you know, they're working women in New York City now. It's 5 or 6 years later. You could totally do that. You could even wait a couple years and do that. And Sydney is moved back to, she's moving all the, and Sydney is the opening kill. Now, you would sit there and think, no, you can't do that. Oh, no, yeah. But to soften that blow, you have Sam and Tara in the film, right? And a lot of fans love Sam and Tara. They love Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. So what if you're going to kill Sydney, you kill her in a movie that Sam and Tara are in, just so you can get a little bit of that, you know what I mean? Oh, well, we got Sam and Tara. Oh, Sydney! No, I can't believe, but Sam and Tara are in the movie, so at least, I guess it's not that bad. I guess I could focus on these characters. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, there's a little, it kind of helps a little bit, but the kill is, wow. Wow. It's like, and then Sam and Tara are brought back into the fold because of Sidney Prescott's death. Maybe Sam's a cop. I don't know. That's a little cliche, but maybe not. Maybe not. They just, they inject themselves. Maybe something. I don't know. Brandon says next gen. Talking to next gen. I thought he was talking to me. But maybe I don't know, maybe it just kind of, because I don't think anybody should be off the table. It raises the stakes. Dewey died. We'll see how he's utilized in Scream 7, but he did die, I don't know. It's fascinating. Dean Renner says, I'd applaud them for having the guts to finally kill Sydney off. I would too. And again, like I've always said, it's not that legacy characters die. It's how they die. I don't want her to die off screen. I don't want her to die in some stupid way. But it's maybe in the opening, she sacrifices herself to save her daughter. Or maybe she dies in this movie and we don't know about it. It's something, it's not likely, but I just mean something, it's some heroic mythic kind of thing, right? And it's like, wow. And the opening, you're left there after the first 10 minutes of that movie and you're just like, holy fuck, where are we going? But it softens the blow a little bit because you got Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. You know what I mean? And so, I don't know. Maybe that's how they're going to do it. If you're just joining me, if you're joining late, that's my Scream ranking in the Scream franchise as of right now. We don't know where 7's going to go. Remember, I'm a casual Scream fan. So I've got the original Scream at best. I've got Scream 2, 4, and Scream 5 at pretty good. I've got Scream 6 at okay. I didn't enjoy it as much as I did 5, and I thought it was okay. The plot armor in that movie with some of those characters is it rivals Stranger Things. And then Scream 3, of course, I have is meh. I don't think any of them are dog shit. That's one of the things I will say about the Scream franchise is that I don't think any of them are dog shit. Mohammed says, Dave, hey, Dave, how'd you rank the 3 sequels you placed in tier 2? Also, sorry for asking a non-horror question, but what are your thoughts on one of my favorite movies, Casino by Scorsese? Oh, Casino's great. Great film. Haven't seen it in a long time, but it's a great movie. Great movie. How would I rank the pretty good ones there? I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen 2 or 3 in quite a few years. 2 or 4 in quite a few years. 5 is more fresh in my memory, and even that I haven't seen in like 2 years. I don't know. I'm not sure. I might go 4, 5, 2 maybe. I like Scream 2, but I don't like it as much as a lot of people do. I do like it though. I do like it. Hang on a sec here. Did I get all the super chats, by the way? I didn't miss any, right? I know, I think the last one was Josh McKenna. It was. Good. Just want to make sure. Oh, that would be awful. Dad says, Sydney kisses Ghostface after getting stabbed by falling for a trick by Ghostface after she set up a trap for him and then dies, specifically on the roof of the insane asylum where she is residing. Yes, 100%. And after she right before she falls, she has to say, I'll see you in hell. And then she falls. Yeah. Totally. Let's do it. Let's totally do it. Let's do it. Rob McGregor says, Sydney gets unceremoniously shoved into a meat grinder, ends up covering everyone in claret and bone. Like the end of the last Evil Dead film. Glorious way to go. Unforgettable, to be fair. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think her death needs to be gratuitous or gruesome, but certainly something that is, I don't think they're ever going to kill her. And it could even be in her contract. It could be a stipulation. It might be. She's powerful enough to the Scream franchise where she could, I don't want to say demand that, suggest that. Of course, she's got to be careful because Scream 5 and 6 both proved, especially 6, it did well, proved that we can make these without you. So you don't want to be too demanding. But it could have been a stipulation for that movie specifically. I'll come back as long as you don't. One of the things is, I don't want to be killed. It could be. I don't know. Yeah, well, I mean, but they have nothing to, I mean, listen, if you, I don't know. I haven't heard that. Neve Campbell said she would never return if her character gets killed off. Same for Courtney Cox. Last chance they had to get rid of her was in 6. Now they have to keep her around forever. No, they don't have to keep her around forever. They don't have to do that. If they wanted to kill them off, they could. Now, that might not be on screen, but Sydney, Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox do not own those characters. So Paramount can do whatever the fuck they want with them. And now Paramount knows that keeping them around is good for business, but they do not own those characters. And so they can do whatever they want. If Paramount wanted to recast Sidney Prescott in a different role, and hand it to an actor that says, yeah, go ahead, kill me off, they could do that. And so she doesn't own it. And so, but it's good for business to keep them around. The thing is, you just got to be careful because at some point, my only thing is this. One of my things is, why is she always looped in? Like right now it's her daughter and there could be Stu being back. Okay, that makes sense. But we got to be careful that at some point it just feels weird that Sydney keeps getting involved, right? It can get cheesy. It can get a little silly. And so, they'll find ways to justify it, but it can be a bit tricky. But Could Neve Campbell say, I'm not going to do one if you're going to kill me off? Sure. Yeah. And they can say, okay, well, we'll hire somebody else. They could do that, right? Or they'll say, okay, well, then you're just not in the movie then. Then we're just never going to make another one with you, right? I mean, let's be honest. You know, before the Melissa Barrera thing, was Sydney, like, is Sydney being in Scream 7, is that a byproduct of, oh, we want you in Scream 7, or is it a byproduct of, fuck, Melissa Barrera is now, let's go get Sydney, right? I mean, listen, Scream 6 did very well. What was its box office total? I know not everybody liked it, but it did well. A lot of people did like it. Scream 6. It's got 77% on Rotten Tomatoes. Actually, let me double check that audience score. That's critic score. Audience score is 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's Scream 6. 90%. It's really good. Scream 6 box office. Scream 6 box office made $166 million worldwide. $108 million domestic alone. It did well. It did very well. So, and that didn't have Sydney. So that proves to the studio, we can make these without you. We can make these without you. And so I'm not saying they're going to do that to Neve Campbell. I'm just saying that, you know, actors don't own their characters and they have to be careful of how much they demand. Now, if the studio, they can demand things in the interim that is relative to the contract they're currently negotiating. But beyond that, you got to be careful. And the studios aren't stupid. They're not going to lock in with that. They wouldn't necessarily lock in with that. Brandon says, if Jenna Ortega had come back, they never would have asked Neve. You might be right. You might be right. Yeah. Yep. And so, you know, they can make a Scream movie without Neve, just as they can make a Halloween movie without Jamie Lee Curtis. You know, they can do that. So, yeah. And maybe it's better. I actually, you know what, as much as, again, I'm a casual Scream fan, but I actually didn't, like I said, I have 6 and okay. I have 5 and pretty good. I actually didn't mind them. And I didn't miss, even before Neve Campbell makes her screen appearance in Scream 5, because we first see her when she's, you know, she's got her kid in the stroller and she's pushing the stroller and she turns around and she's on the phone. That's when we're first introduced her in 5. She wasn't in 5 a lot. I didn't miss her. I wasn't like, oh, where's Sydney? Now, I'm a casual fan, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. Scream 6, didn't miss her. Didn't care, really. You know, so they can make them without her. Now, can they make them without Neve, Courtney, Jenna, and Melissa? I don't know. That's a bit different. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, though. We'll see what happens. What's the results of the poll? 65 of you have voted. 42% say yes, he's alive. Another 42% say no, he's dead and he's AI. We got a neck and neck tie here between the two top. No, he's dead returns in a flashback, says 17% of you. And no, he's dead returns in a dream is 2% of you. I think not only do people not think he returns in a dream, I think there's a lot of people that are hoping that's not the case. Like, please don't let him return. Can you imagine if it was just a dream? No, I don't think they're doing that either. But now it's tied at 41%. Woo-wee! It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy indeed. Benjamin 5496. She's only looped in for nostalgia and probably lack of creativity. I would say, well, you know, look, I mean, I wouldn't say lack of creativity. Nostalgia, yes, for sure. I mean, she is one, I mean, outside of Ghostface, she's the face. She's the Jamie Lee Curtis of Scream, the Laurie Strode of Scream. So for sure, it's for business. But that doesn't mean they haven't written a great story around her character and given her something to do. But yeah, of course. I mean, listen, had Barrera not dropped out, Ortega likely wouldn't have either. And you might be getting a very different Scream 7. And had Ortega and Barrera not dropped out, you may also not be getting Stu either. So it might have been a very, very different Scream 7 altogether. So we'll see. We'll see. Kyle Buckley says, does anyone know if Dave sent out the double Blu-rays yet? You know, Kyle, you could ask me. Because I know Dave very well. And I think Dave might actually have the answer to that, Kyle. Let me ask him. Dave, would you mind coming over here and answering this for Kyle? Yeah, sure. I'll come over and answer the Kyle. Sure. Okay. Hey, Kyle, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. No, we have not sent out the double blues yet, but we have started sending out the Blu-rays. And so I believe all of the executive producers have been sent out. The co-producers are being now sent out, the associates as well, because they are the producers. So we're sending out to them first. And then we're also starting the process of sending out to everybody who picked up single Blu-rays as well. And then we move into the double blues. So I ask for your patience. I appreciate your patience. I know you've been waiting a long time, but somebody the other day said to me, and this actually isn't really, I get what they're saying, but technically it's not true. Somebody said, why is it taking so long? I've been waiting. Look, I ordered it in 2023. It's 2026 now. Dude, I've been waiting almost 3 years. And I said to this person, well, actually, that's not true. Like, what do you mean it's not true? I said, well, you ordered it in 2023. That's true. But we can't ship it to you until the movie is done and released. So you weren't going to get it in 2023. And the earliest you could have gotten it is at the end of 2024, which isn't going to happen because that's when the movie was released and online. Then we start the process of getting all the materials together and getting all the perks ready and ordering the t-shirts and the hoodies and all this kind of stuff and getting everything ready and shipping everything off to the Blue. So technically, you've been waiting maybe 6 months. Technically, right? Technically. I know it's not like ordering a movie it's not like ordering the Goonies off of Amazon and it takes 3 years for the Goonies to get to you. That's different because that's a movie that's done and ready and like, what the hell is it taking it so long for? But when you're participating in crowdfunding and you're donating to crowdfunding to help a movie get made, the movie has to get made, the movie has to get edited, the movie has to be released, the movie has to be online. And that can take almost a year and a half, sometimes 2 years after the initial crowdfunding campaign. So technically you've been waiting maybe 6 to 8 months, technically, even though I know it feels like it's been longer from when you first ordered it. So, but nonetheless, I do appreciate your patience, everybody's patience, of course, your contributions. Of course, you're all amazing. And we have started the process. It is just Bruce and I. And we have over 750 Blu-rays to ship. We have shipped, I think, already about 100, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Like we're making some gains. So it is a process. It'll be over the next few months, that you start to see things begin to come in because we obviously have to go through the process and we're shipping a lot internationally. So we have to create all the labels here at home and get them on all the packages. And actually the packages, this is what the packages look like. Let me go to the other screen here. This is what the packages look like for single Blu-rays. That's what they look like. That's got a Blu-ray in there. I just have to get the shipping labels onto them. And then once I make all the shipping labels, I stick all the shipping labels onto all the packages. I take the box up to the post office. And because it's already paid for, because I paid for it here at home and I print all, all the shit here at home, I just hand them to the people at the post office and they do what they need to do to get them to you. But they are here. There's the teaser cover. There's the teaser cover. There's the teaser. There's the back of the teaser. They are here. So that goes into here like that. And that is shipped off to you. Now for the double blues, the packages will be a bit bigger because I have to fit 2 Blu-rays in there. But the process has started. So they are coming. Scared Straight Production says, having Melissa Barrera being the killer in Seven seemed kind of dumb. I'd rather have what we are getting back to formula. Was she supposed to be the killer? That's kind of weird. Shakir Henderson says, what are the most underrated values of filmmaking that most people overlook, Dave? Well, I think it is, that's a great question. I would say this sounds like a very broad answer, but I would say, I want to make sure I'm answering you right. What are the most underrated values of filmmaking? I'm assuming you mean like underrated values of filmmaking. I understand what you're saying now. Okay, I was going to answer it incorrectly. I would say one thing in particular, I think the collaborative teamwork, I think, is amazing. I think when something hits, whether you are in a writer's room and you are writing, whether you are by yourself and you finally crack through that writer's block and you're like, oh, yes, that's it. That's amazing. You might be in a team of people and you discover something together collaboratively. I think just seeing something come together from years of hard work, I think, is amazing. So I would say that, just the friendships and the that are created, and the hard work, the reward for your hard work, I think is amazing. No filmmaker, no studio, no filmmaker, no actor can ever know what is going to land and what isn't, right? There are people that liked It's Me, Billy. There are people that didn't like It's Me, Billy. There are people that loved It's Me, Billy. There are people that thought It's Me, Billy's crap. There are the people that are just trolls and they'll just hate anything I do. But sometimes, you have no control over who's going to like the movies you make or who doesn't like the movies you make, right? And so, but knowing what I know on the inside and all the hard work and all the things that come together to make it, and from development to pre-production, production, post-production, distribution. To watch something you've created with a bunch of people is incredibly valuable. It's just very rewarding. And I would say that the friendships and the collaborative process, I think, is very underrated, maybe to the average film fan, of how rewarding that can be. But also, I think the average film fan, and I say this with all due respect, I'm not saying it to anybody here in the chat room, I'm saying this as a general statement. Most people have no idea how difficult it is and the process, what truly is all involved. Truly involved, the many different departments and the things you have to think about. Here's what people don't understand. Most average film fans don't understand. I'm not saying anybody in the chat. I'm just saying, generally speaking, making a movie is running a small business. It is true. And that is why most films open up what are called production offices. That's where payroll is done. That's where, it truly is running a small business for a short period of time, for like a year. You know what I mean? Depending on the complexity of the shoot. It is literally running a small business. Small, the Billy films were small. Marvel films aren't exactly small businesses, but it truly is running a business. And so, and you have all the factors that go into running a business. And it is, there are, production companies that are created specifically for that particular movie, and then are have you ever watched a movie where you'll see at the beginning, Flying by the Seat of My Pants Productions, and you're like, Flying by the seat of my pants Productions. Who the hell are these guys? You know what I mean? And chances are you never see them ever again. Chances are that is a production company that was opened and created specifically to make that movie. And there's a whole myriad of reasons why I could go into why studios and production companies will do this. You can, search it online as well. But I'm just saying that it is a very because most film fans only see the end result, right? They know, like they've heard of, it's not all glitz and glamour, it's not all fun. They hear those things, but they truly don't really know what that means. Because even the behind the scenes documentaries you see, are sometimes glorified or, made to look sort of, maybe a little more exciting than it might be. But if you're actually on set day to day, it is a truly, not that it's not rewarding and fun and exciting and of course it's all those things, but it's real work. It's business. You're making a movie that either has, hundreds of thousands of dollars like, the Billy films, or hundreds of millions of dollars like Avatar. I mean, it's one end of the spectrum to the other. And it's a very, you have fun, you laugh, you joke around, you get acquainted with people, you create friendships and relationships with people that, of course it's great fun, but it's serious business too. And it's a business, and you're running a business for a certain period of time. And so I always knew that, of course, having gone to film school way back in the day. That was one of the things we learned about in business film management class. I wish I could remember my professor's name, but I have no idea. So over 20 years ago. And so, but I remember learning all about this, and it was one of the eye-opening things for me. And I think most of the people in the class was like, wow, this is like, okay, so this is the non-exciting class, but it was all about production companies, studios, business, why these companies are built, why you open this up, all that stuff. And it was really eye-opening. And so that is, again, it's not what you asked, but it's one of those things that is incredibly valued. That's why I always say to film fans, if you want to really get a leg up, you don't have to be a filmmaker. You don't have to have made a movie, even though having made a movie will always give you perspective on shit that it will give you a whole new perspective on the industry and films. But you don't have to have had made a movie to understand how movies are made, or why certain things are said. And I often say to people, because there's a lot of things over the years, I've seen a lot of comments from people or posts from people who are commenting on, the news of the day, whether it's a Marvel piece or whether it's the decision from a studio to do this or whatever the case is. And even not knowing myself the inside workings of the nitty-gritty details of the decisions that were made that came to the conclusion that now Variety is reporting on. Having been to film school, having made movies, working in the industry myself, and keeping up on the business side of film in the ways that I have, makes me realize how little most people, the comments some people are making, they're not as on point as they would think they are. And just understanding how film works, the business side of film, how box office works, how much are allocated to studios, production companies, concessions, how concession works, how ticket sales work, how, like all that. I know it doesn't sound exciting, but if you actually learn about how it all works, it really gives you insight into them being able to read those types of articles and go, oh, and then you can comment with an opinion, with what I like to call an informed opinion, from a place of knowledge rather than a place of, just total fandom, right? And so making movies it's business. It's all business. It's all business. That's why films will open up production offices. What do you think that office is for? It's the business of this particular movie, right? You know what I mean? Like when I get to make the house on Port Robinson Road, we will likely have a production office in wherever we're shooting it. So everything goes through the production office, right? That's the house on Port Robinson Road, home base business. There it is, right? Payroll goes through there. Taxes are I mean, that's what it is. And then the production office is shut down when we're finished shooting the movie. Anyways, it's a whole thing. I know that's not what you asked, but I love these types of questions because I really, and do not mistake it. I mean, I've never made a blockbuster. I've never made a movie that, $1 million movie, right? I mean, certainly there's still a lot that even I will learn and need to learn about the process, but my knowledge comes from a place of having studied film, having made some films, having worked on set, working in the industry for 25 years. It's the perspective is, I have a great appreciation for the filmmaking process. A great appreciation for the filmmaking process. It is grueling and difficult and tough and exciting and rewarding and frustrating and tiring and long but damn, when it's done and you're firing on all cylinders and you collaborate with people who become your friends and long-term collaborators and professional relationships, man, it's very rewarding. And I'm sure if you don't work in the business, you don't work in entertainment, you don't work in the film industry, whatever the case is, you could probably equate that to something in your professional life, right? Like maybe you work in corporate law, or maybe you work, I don't know, and you're like, yeah, dude, I know what you mean. Like in my, there's so many things people don't understand about fucking corporate law, man. Like, it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that, or, real estate industry. Oh, dude, I totally know what you mean, man. There's so many things about this, that, and that. You absolutely can move that over to other areas. But the film industry especially is fascinating from that sociological perspective because there's so many people, because the film industry and the entertainment industry as a whole, whether that's films, whether that's, on-camera acting, whether that's voice acting, myself, right? As a voice actor, whether that's music, whether that's sports. I mean, sports is part of the entertainment industry. There's a very glitzy glamour. We tend to romanticize the entertainment industry as a whole, right? No matter what facet you're working in or you're watching or paying attention to. And because it has that glitzy glam thing about it, which is part of it. I mean, I've been to award shows and it's absolutely part of it for sure. But the other side, the real grueling work, the real grueling creative work, it's absolutely fun, but it's work. Like it's real work, and it can be exhausting and tiring and exciting all at the same time. And so I just find that I think maybe the entertainment industry, maybe more so, like when you hear the words corporate law, you automatically go, oh yeah, that sounds really like stuffy and, and really like hard work, law, you know what I mean? Real estate law. Yeah. It just by the sound of it, right? There isn't really you know what I mean? Whereas the entertainment industry is a bit different. And so, yeah, demystifying that I think is always very important. It's not that there isn't glitz and glam with it. There is, but it's hard work. It's very hard work. And that's why I always say the relationship that actors have with their characters they play, whether that's on camera or whether that's voice acting, whatever, will always be different than the relationship the fans have with those characters. And so that's why you'll often see fans get so excited, right? And, to meet their favorite actor who played their favorite character, and they're asking them all these questions and, and sometimes the actors don't know how to answer it. You know, like that, like, I don't know how to answer this. I don't know what to say. I don't, you know, because they don't remember it in the same way. Their experience with that character is very different than your experience with that character, right? Because you're seeing the end result, right? They don't have the same relationship, right? And it's the same with voiceover and, you know, animation as well. I mean, my relationship with the characters that I've done is very different than any relationship children will have with those characters afterwards, right? And so, yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I know that didn't answer your question. Well, I think I did. I think I answered your question there in the beginning, and then you inspired me to go off on my typical Dave McCrae tangents. But I just love. I love the industry I work in and continuing to learn more about the industry I learn in, even though I know a lot about the industry already. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm always learning new things, new tricks, you know, you know what I mean? You never stop learning and reading and building those relationships and connections and that kind of stuff, because that's how you progress, right? That's how you progress. So, it's just, I just get excited when I get to talk about all this kind of stuff. It just gets me excited. Gets me jazzed. What's happening with the poll? Do you think Stu is back in the flesh as in alive and didn't die in Scream 1996? 41% say yes, he's alive. 40% say no, he's AI. 17% say he returns in a flashback. And only 2% say that it's a dream. So 41% are banking on that he's actually alive. He's actually alive. Because I'm going to wrap up here in a second. So let's end the poll. Those are the final results, ladies and gentlemen. There are your final results. The Oct says, I made a fan film with some friends for $0. Awesome. What was the movie? And that was a lot of work. I can't imagine the amount of work for a real film. What was the movie? Was it a Halloween fan film? Yeah, well, but you know what? That's a great way. That's a great thing to do, because it like, if you take it seriously enough, right? It shows you sort of the it's like, wow, like if it's tough doing this, I can only imagine what it must be like. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's true. It's true. It's absolutely true. And yeah. Yeah, it is. Dad says Rob Zombie has had some great making of docs for Devil's Rejects and Halloween. Whatever you think of those films, they are worth a watch for an inside look. I've seen the Halloween one, haven't seen the Devil's Rejects one, but you're right. Margot Hypnos says, I would like Dewey back. Like back in the flesh? Maybe. Chester Franklin Jr. says, the only doc I seen as the Rob Zombie did was Halloween. I will definitely check out the Devil's Rejects. Trevor Bristow says, I highly doubt he's alive. Somehow, that's just my theory. No, you could be right. The Ox says, it was a Michael Myers fan film called Haddonfield Factory. That's cool. No, look, it's great. Everybody's got to start somewhere, man. And, you know, that's what you do. I mean, as I said, I went to film school. I didn't graduate. I left after 2 years, but I learned a ton. And I made a film on 16 millimeter when I was in film school. Actually, I made two films, both on 16 mil. So that was really cool to be able to shoot on 16 mil. And then when I left college, I started my career as an on-camera actor, got an agent. This is 2001. Got an agent, all that kind of stuff. I've told this before, so I won't take too long. And then I broke my teeth. I was doing commercials and docudramas and things like that. That's where I was coming up with my high school friend, Melanie Scrofano. Sorry, Melanie, if you're watching. She's doing great. She's on a new series on Sci-Fi, I think. She's on a new series on Sci-Fi. She was Winona Earp in Winona Earp. She was in the first Ready or Not film. I haven't talked to her in a very long time, probably since we were both auditioning in the early 2000s, but she was great. And I'm sure she's still the same person. She's married now with kids, but she was so much fun and such a hoot. She's awesome. But I started out as an on-camera actor, and then I broke my teeth playing street hockey and had to go on hiatus for a bit. And then I started doing more of the voiceover. I was always doing the voiceover, but I started to focus on it more predominantly in around 2004 or 5. And then the rest is history. And I fell into the voiceover, and my career took off doing voiceover. So everything from radio and TV commercials, network promos, movie trailers, game trailers, animation, narration. And so, yeah. But filmmaking has always been my first love, And so that's when I did the Billy films to kind of get back into the process of making films. And so, but I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew because it had been a while since I'd been out of the game. So I wanted to do something that people were familiar with, but make a real film. So that's why I've often said they're fan films, yes, because obviously we don't own the intellectual property, but they're legit indie productions, real professional productions through and through. From the cast to the crew to, the unions, the guilds, contracts, everything, the money. And you guys made it happen. If it wasn't for all you guys, we wouldn't have been able to do it. That's not to say we couldn't have done it, but it would have been a harder road. You know what I mean? So you guys made it happen. So you guys are awesome, man. You guys are awesome. But yeah, so, I tell you, man, and I learned a lot. Even though I already knew a lot, I learned a lot by doing those 2 films as well. And yeah, like so I'm not surprised, making movies is very difficult. A lot of film fans think that that's a cop-out for bad movies. No, listen, a bad movie is a bad movie. If you think it's bad, you think it's bad. Art is art. No, it shouldn't be. It should not be an excuse for incompetence, but making movies is very hard. It is extremely difficult. And making a good movie, a great movie, is even harder. So it's just, by virtue of the process. But anyway, Josh McKenna, $1.99. Would you want Megan versus Ghostface versus Chucky? Absolutely not, Josh. Absolutely not. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. All right, folks. Well, listen, that's going to do it for me. Thank you for tuning in and doing this live. I thought I'd jump on live again and talk to everybody out there. Thank you, everybody, for your continued support to the channel. Shout out to all the new subscribers who jumped on board, of course, when I was doing the Stranger Things coverage. I really appreciate that. Talking some Stranger Things. I did a bunch of videos on my channel that did very, very, very well. So thank you to the new, I think we got about 300 or 400 new subscribers or something crazy like that. Really appreciate it. You are awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thanks for tuning in. Folks, if you're watching after the fact, jump into the comment section and let me know your thoughts on how you would rank the Scream franchise thus far. I have the first one at best. I have Scream 2, 4, and 5 at pretty good. I have Scream 6 at okay. And I have Scream 3 at meh. But I don't think any of them are dog shit. I don't think the Scream franchise yet has had a bad movie. I don't think they've had a bad movie yet, but we'll see what happens with Scream 7. All right, folks. Thank you very much for tuning in. Jump into the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. You're all amazing. Thank you to the super chats. Thank you to the member chats. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. And I will talk to you all very soon. All righty. Cheers.